All right, we are on the second to last page of the study guide. Questions 27 through 28. Points S, T, and U are midpoints of DE, EF, and DE respectively. And those should actually have little bars over them. We're going to calculate X and Z. So if you look at these, if we have lines that go from vertex to midpoint, we know that we're dealing with medians here. So in number 27, if I look for where I see X, if this part of my median is 6, and that's the bigger part from vertex to centroid, I could break this down and think of that 6 as being made up of 2 3s. So this last part of the median is another 3. So if I want to find X, I know 2X minus 5 is equal to 3. I could add 5 to both sides and get 2x equals 8. So x must equal 4. All right, then when we're finding z, it looks like we're going to have to deal with some decimals a little. This is the big part of my median, the 4.6. So if I divide that by 2, I get that each part is 2.3, meaning that this small part over here must also be 2.3. So if 4z is equal to 2.3, I just divide by 4. And just feel free to use a calculator. Divide that by 4, we should get that z equals 0.575. 0.575. All right, questions 29 through 32. I think we went over these in class actually. In 29, AB, segment AB is an altitude. Remember, that is the same as saying like the height of a triangle. And we could tell that because it makes a right angle. This would be the base, and it goes from the vertex down to the base. And 30, that is an angle bisector. And the way we can tell that's an angle bisector is those two marks right there tell us those angles are congruent. So AB must run through the middle of the larger angle that's made by those two. Number 31, we could tell that A is the midpoint and that we are going, that this line AB is perpendicular to this side. So that makes that a perpendicular bisector. Okay, remember perpendicular means forms a right angle. So that's what that box was. And then lastly, B is the midpoint here. And when we go from the vertex to the midpoint, we call that point a median. All right, so if we scrolling down, for numbers 33 and 34, or at least I think these are the numbers. I'm looking at this and I feel like the ones we did in class looked a little different. But for these two questions, it says, determine which point could be the circumcenter of the triangle. So remember, the circumcenter is where the perpendicular bisectors meet. So perpendicular bisectors, that those meet to find the circumcenter. Sorry, it's one word. I'm just running out of room. And the angle bisectors meet to find, and that's where we find the incenter. And then lastly, even though we don't need it for these two, we said the intersection of the medians, that is called the centroid. All right, so in number 33, determine which point could be the circumcenter of the triangle. That means I need my perpendicular bisectors. So if this is vertical, a horizontal would be perpendicular. And if this goes from -4 to 4, if I just cut it in half at 0, that's a perpendicular bisector. If I come over here from 0 to 8 on my x-axis, if I go halfway into 4 and draw a vertical, that'll be perpendicular with the horizontal. So this spot right here at 4, 0 is where my bisector is. 34, I would just recommend on this question to maybe kind of just make your best guess. I would say that this looks like an angle bisector here. That this looks like an angle bisector here. This looks like our angle bisector there. So as we kind of eyeball it and cut these angles in half, we're going to end up with this 0.4, 0 for the in-center. That's why we need our angle bisectors. All right, and then lastly, I won't be able to do construction since I'm doing this on my tablet, but for these two problems, what I would say is that there are videos on Schoology, and we will also have time for a quick construction review before the test, but I would say go to Schoology, and it's under... let's see, Unit 2.2, Day 5. There should be some videos in there. All right, well, that's the bell. I'll see you guys later.